Welcome back. In this video, we'll be talking about how to find domain of some functions. First of all, what is domain? You need to understand the concept behind domain. Then you can phantom it into whatever you want to solve. Domain is a set of value, not just one value now, set of value that will make a particular function to be defined. Set of value that will make a particular function to be what? To be defined. What does it mean when the function is said to be defined? Let me give you a base case so that you understand. Let's assume that you have y equal to 2s plus 3. Now, this function is defined if we have a value for x and it gives a value for what? For y. Now, if x equal to 4, you will see that y will be 2 in bracket of 4 plus 3, and your y will be 8 plus 3, which is what? 11. So this is divine like this. That is the meaning of divine. When is a function said to be non-divine? That is, when a function is non-divine. Suppose you have a function y equal to 1 over x minus 1. If x is equal to 2, you have y equal to 1 over what? 2 minus 1, and that will give us what? 1 over 1, which is what? 1. Now, if x is equal to 1, you have it as what? Y equal to 1 over 1 minus 1, and that will give us what? 1 over 0. This make, at this point now, y is what? Not divine. So, at point x equal to 1, y is not divine for this equation. Now, let's come back to what we want to do. Remember, I defined domain as set of values that will make a particular function to be divine. All right. Now, the first example, find the domain of f of x is equal to 2x minus 7. Now, to find the domain of a function like this is very simple, because if you check, no matter how large or how small x is, this function will always be divine. If x equal to 1000, it will be divine. If x equal to 0, it will be divine. If x equal to 1 billion, it will be divine. At all points, it will be divine. Then the domain is minus infinity to infinity, or you can write it as all what? All real numbers. The domain, answer to that domain is minus infinity to infinity, or what? All real numbers. Now, example 2. Suppose you have f of x equal to x squared plus 3x plus 8. Now, the domain of this is also minus infinity to infinity, or all real numbers. Why? Because at all points, this particular equation will be what? Will be divine. Now, let me bring this to your notice. Any polynomial function, their domain is always all real number or minus infinity to infinity. Just take note of that. This is very important. Any polynomial function. Remember, this is a polynomial function. Remember, this is also a polynomial function. Now, if you have a polynomial function like f of x equal to s cubed plus 6s squared minus 4s plus 9, the domain of this is minus infinity to infinity, or what? All real numbers. That is all for any polynomial function. Now, let's go to another set of functions now. Now, suppose you have a function like this, f of x equal to 5 over x minus 2. Now, what is the domain of this? Remember that domain is set of values that will make a function to be divine. Take note, domain deals with x. Take note, domain deals with x, that is values of x. Now, for this function to be divine, it implies that this denominator must not be equal to 0. That is the meaning. For this function to be divine, it means that what? The denominator must not be equal to 0. And to have that would be x minus 2 must not be equal to 0. X must not be equal to what? 2. Which implies that what? The domain here is all real numbers except what? Except 2. If you check all real numbers, you will see that this function will give you a definite answer. If x is equal to 1, 5 over 1 minus 2, that will give us minus 5. If x is equal to 10, it will give you answer. If x is equal to 1 million, it will give you answer. But when x is equal to 2, let's check. 5 over 2 minus 2. We will have it as what? 5 over what? Over 0, which is undivine. So that implies that the domain is what? All real numbers except what? Except 2. Now, let's try another example. The second example is f of x equal to 2x minus 4 over s squared plus 9. Now, remember that this is a rational function, like the one we did earlier. Now, for this function to be divine, it means that the denominator must not be equal to 0. That implies that s squared plus 9 must not be equal to what? 0. That means s squared must not be equal to what? Minus 9. That means x must not be equal to plus or minus 3i. You should have done this in complex number. If you have not done that, kindly check my channel for the result. Alright, now you will notice that x must not be a member of what? A complex number. Now, a complex number. And mostly, all functions like this under domain, we divide them from real number to real number. So we are not dealing with complex number at all. So you will notice that the domain of this particular function here is what? The domain here is minus infinity to infinity. The domain is minus infinity to infinity. Why? Because the denominator is a what? A polynomial function. And recall that we said in a polynomial function, the domain is always what? Minus infinity to infinity. Now let me give you this to try and give me the answer in the comment section. F of x is equal to 4 over s squared minus 1. What is the domain of this? Give me the answer in the comment section. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, like and share. Thank you.